Hello everybody. This is my second take on this video because the alley, she was crazy. Too much traffic for something that's supposed to be a place where people can access their garage. Welcome to Friday. We're again off schedule. It's been a weird week again, which is okay. I hope you got good plans for the weekend, that you've got super things happening. It's Labor Day weekend, so that means you got a 3-day holiday, hopefully. Unfortunately, I will be working on Monday. I have a client that's very upset about their balance sheet, and I got an earful. And the thing is, I would just like to share with you, there are a couple of documents that your bookkeeper produces for your CPA to do the taxes. There's the P&L, aka profit and loss, and that shows how much money came in and how much money went out. Then there's the balance sheet, and the balance sheet shows your assets and your liabilities. And if you put something on your balance sheet, like a loan, if you aren't paying that loan off, it's going to stay there. So it's going to be there. It's not something where the loan comes in, hits your balance sheet, and then next year it's not on your balance sheet. It stays on your balance sheet until it's paid off. So it doesn't, a P&L is for a fixed time period. A balance sheet is a snapshot of where your assets are, where your equity is, and where you are in debt. Not credit card debt, just, loans and mortgages and stuff. So we have a bit of a learning curve. I mean, I'm not an expert on balance sheets. I just know that I can tell from the way the client approached their concerns that they were thinking about the balance sheet as something that functions like the P&L. So Monday I have a phone call with him and his partner. They're supposed to be sending me a copy of the balance sheet with the items they're concerned about highlighted or circled, so I can do some homework and say, this is why this is this much, this is why this is that much. So far, that balance sheet with the circled areas has not appeared. So I know they're not happy. Frankly, I'm not happy either, and I'm not happy with the way that they talk to me. But one of the things that I've learned over the years, if I can share this wisdom, there's a moment where a reaction is pure emotion. It's not based in logic. It's not based in anything except maybe fear. And that's the loudest emotion, honestly. It really is the loudest emotion. You could say anger is loud. No, fear is very noisy. And I've learned from many years of emotional combat that feelings are not facts. And when I feel like I'm getting emotional, I'm having, like, my gut is pushing harder, my heart, is pushing harder on a subject than my mind is, then I know I need to take a break, because I'm manufacturing more more stress than is required. And that from that state, I'm not going to get a good solution or resolution to the matter. There are going to be hurt feelings and other things that could leave lasting damage on the relationship. So there's a moment, if you can learn that shift when you know you're coming at something from all feeling, where the feeling is driving your logic, that's a good time to take a deep breath, to adjust. You don't have to cancel the engagement that you're in, but if you say out loud, I just need a beat to adjust my energy because I'm getting emotional, and when things are emotional, that puts us farther away from problem solving. My dad used to say, if you've got time to cry, you've got time to solve the problem. So from that, I've learned to be a cry after the crisis person. And then it's tears of relief. It's not tears of anger or frustration or hurt. But crying after is relief. It's grief. I find it's something. It doesn't interfere with the issue at hand. So the words of wisdom for the day: feelings are not facts. They are great guideposts. They definitely tell you where your gut is. They can also tell you where your habits of thinking are, and they can help you identify when you do storytelling. And as a writer, I love storytelling, except when it's something we do to ourselves to torture ourselves in a way that on some level seems like it's protective. I'm going to imagine the worst case scenario so that I can imagine the best case solution. And the problem is the mind is addicted to alert-causing activities, and fear and anger cause alert, they cause alarm, and it can get to a situation where there's just a rapid-fire creation of scenarios. Oh, this is the worst case scenario, and then your mind goes, but what if, and throws another log on the fire. Oh yeah, you're right, that's a worst case scenario. Okay, so we got 2 worst case scenarios. Well, wait a minute, there's more, and here comes another log on the fire. That can suck you into a tube of despair. And when things get emotional, I'm glad to say that I have learned how to say we are in an emotional space, not a thinking space. Can we take a minute and adjust? I remember one guy, I was working for an attorney, and he had a client that the attorney was paying for the COBRA insurance. And somehow something got screwed up, and we needed to reinstate the insurance. And I was talking to the guy on the other end of the line, and he's just being very nasty and mean to me. And I said, okay, wait a minute. I am not the enemy. You are not the enemy. I'm trying to solve a problem, and I'm looking to you for guidance. Can we adjust how we're talking to each other so it's more respectful? the call got so easy after that because I wasn't blaming him for anything. And I'm sure that he deals with call after call. And, I know I look like a Karen. You cannot see me on the phone unless we're FaceTiming. But I know I sound like a Karen. I sound like a middle-aged white lady. And now I've called you with this problem, middle-aged white lady with a problem. How long before she says, I'd like to speak to your supervisor? I get it. And as a white lady, I know I sound white. So, extra scary, Awareness of who you are and how you fit in the world and what behaviors you have that may create friction. Understanding those moments when you run into a friction moment and learning how to de-escalate them, man, that has been one of the greatest lessons of my life. Yeah, feelings are guideposts. They are not facts. And they send you in a lot of directions. Not just the problem at hand, but if you use them correctly, they will tell you where you got hinky thinking. Yeah. So that's that. All right. I dislike intensely President Pumpkin. I do feel bad that I think he's in serious enough decline that I think his health, he's got to be suffering. He looks like a man who is suffering. But I want to talk about his wife for a second. I am not a fan. But there's been some news this week, the last couple weeks, but this week I heard in particular that Epstein had at her before she met Trump. I have so many questions. But the chief among them is, instead of going ha ha ha, ha ha ha, Epstein got there first, ha ha ha, because the some of this is couched in the idea that a woman's value is based on her purity, and purity is based on how many people have had access to her magical kingdom. All of that is very limited and limiting. We need to, as a society, start recognizing when we're imposing really old-fashioned, really constricted, domineering thinking. So instead of rejoicing, let's imagine a world that this possibility is true. Instead of laughing at President Pumpkin, ha 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 ha, perhaps we could take a moment and realize that the First Lady, if this is true, is one of the victims, and that she was passed around. In the scenario where this is true, she was passed around between these two men, possibly others. Does that not make her someone who is trafficked? Does that not make her one of Epstein's victims? Someone can be a victim and you can dislike them. I dislike her. I do dislike her. She does not have what I would calculate, what I determine as a compassionate office. She's not somebody who I could see small children and animals running up to for a hug. I just don't see that as part of her persona. Not that makes you a good person, but when the vulnerable feel safe around you, you're either very good at tricking them or you're a safe person to be around. I just want to pump the brakes a little bit, and I don't want to be part of a conversation where people are gleeful over anybody suffering, no matter how shitty that person is. And, her life experiences may have compounded her attitude. It may have hardened her and made her that frosty person she appears to be. Maybe she was always a frosty person, but I don't think that if this scenario is true, I don't think this makes you warm and cuddly. So let's lighten up. Let's consider the Free Melania hashtag again. Let's just take a beat. I also see a lot of division. Like, let's go back to purity again. That one political party is virtuous and another political party is a bunch of PDF file crooks. A bunch of tax evaders, a bunch of, a bunch of monsters. Something I learned today, which surprised me, was, yes, when Trump was in office, he put a tariff on China. They have this electric car company that's apparently amazing. Warren Buffett has shares in that company, and you can't really get your hands on one in the United States because under Biden's administration, the tariff went from 27% to 100%. So this affordable, efficient electric car, if you want one, you've got to pay 100% in taxes to get it. And this is why, to bolster the American manufacturing of electric cars. Yeah, and it punishes the American people. So tariffs can be useful tools. I detest that we have President Pumpkin handing out tariffs like they're M&Ms. You get a tariff, you get a tariff, you get a tariff. And it's crippling the American people and our economy. I hate all of this. But he's not the only one who's doing that. He's not the only one using them. We don't get to sit up on our high horse and act like we're perfect. The Lolita Island people have President Trump on that airplane and President Clinton on that airplane. So you got one from each party. Tied for number of presidents who palled around. And one more step on that, I would like to divorce the notion that child predation is about sex and sexuality. Sex is part of the game, But I believe that pedophile equals power grab. It is about reaching out and taking what does not belong to you and gobbling it up. And this is why we're finding people on these lists or rubbing elbows with in very high power positions. This is why we're finding politicians on both sides of the aisle pulled into this. This is why we're finding princes from all across Europe and Asia and wherever the hell else in this umbrella, in this web of intrigue. And I saw a demonstration, which to me was very interesting, where there's this kid who, is it Elon Musk he tracks? There's a kid who's figured out how to post the movements of an airplane that belong, I think it's to Musk. The interesting thing is, I saw another illustration. They had a little map, little looked like Star Wars, looking at the Death Star map of North America and Epstein's Islands, and they had little red lines, like, you know, people flying from New York to the island, people flying from New York to Florida to the island, from Arizona from California to the island. All these little red threads. Europe was also on that map, and you saw none of it. No red lines. No red lines. And it's not because Europeans weren't going there, Prince Andrew. It's because the privacy laws regarding personal data are much stricter, much stricter than in America. It's so leaky. You know, if you wonder why we have so many spam calls, why we have so many junk emails and junk texts, and look at our privacy laws. They're very, very, very leaky with data. So we only know part of the story. I do think that in England they're very concerned about this. I feel like they've got questions about Epstein and his influence on their power brokers, but they don't have the leaky flight information like we have. And overall, I do think that the entirety of it is a huge distraction, an enormous distraction. That you know, if they can keep you upset, they can keep you unfocused. And in a weird way, we've just come full circle. Feelings are not facts. I didn't know that was going to happen. Nice callback. If we can continue to be outraged and enraged and confused and disappointed and hurt and upset and fearful and anxious, if we can stay in that place, we will distract ourselves. will do the work for them. Who is them? It's a very interesting question. I started watching a thing about Peter Thiel. I really don't know much about the man. And I watched enough to know that I don't know anything. I don't know enough. And enough is too much, if you know what I mean. So he's got that AI spy software. Mossad has really leaned into it. Ronan Farrow did a piece about, because when he did the Harvey Weinstein story, when he did Catch and Kill, he picked up that he was being followed, and he was being followed by former Mossad agents who had gone into private business and were working for somebody, Weinstein maybe? I don't remember. So when he was done with his investigation on Weinstein, he did an investigation on private security and security around the world. And the software that Peter Thiel is owner of, the champion of, I think it's called Palantir. The man himself is very obsessed with Lord of the Rings. So you will find a lot of Lord of the Rings references in his work. Like Elon Musk is obsessed with the letter X. Thiel is obsessed with Lord of the Rings. The software that we're talking about, this surveillance software that is being used by governments and I imagine private agencies that can afford it around the world, around the entire globe, this is being used, is named for those creepy crystal balls, the Palantir, the seeing stones. And if you've seen the movie, Gandalf goes to see his supervisor, and the supervisor's acting all creepy. The supervisor's taking a different angle on the political movements that are emerging in Middle Earth, and he's decided to use the seeing stone. And Gandalf is horrified because these are objects of deep and profound evil. Deep and profound evil. And this is what this guy has decided to name his company for, because he's created a digital version of the seeing stones. Whose side is he on? Whew. Boy, that question makes me nauseous. Are you still here? Yeah, today is a little bit heavy, right? Sometimes you gotta go through heavy to get to the good. Sometimes you gotta, because it's how you clear out the crap. Ignoring it is not gonna make it go away. But standing up too close to it, you're not gonna get the full picture either. We live in some interesting / tricky times, and I'm very, very interested in how we move forward, in what shape our governments are going to take, and what protections the people are going to have. Because you are the people. I am the people. We are the people. We are we. And they are they. And do we know who they are? And do we know what their objective is? The first objective is to keep you off center and in a place of emotion. So, as we plow into the weekend, this Labor Day weekend, power to the people, to the laborers. I hope you enjoy your end of summer barbecue and that you get your kids to school safely. Because that's like sending them to a slaughterhouse every morning, right? You don't know who's going to come home. Yeah. We need to check who they are and what are their objectives. And on that cheerful note, you guys have a good weekend. I will see you sometime next week, whenever that happens, because clearly my schedule is off. But thanks for being here. You have a friend in me. Let's focus on we. We are the people. Let's focus on joy and freedom and love and good vibes. And let's try and find compassion even for the people that we cannot stand. And that's the story for today. That's everything I have to say. Thanks for being here.